everybody doing? Good. Now we got our takeoff done. Okay, right below us, this is the Kaibab National Forest. It's the largest stand of ponderosa pine in the country. It's these big, tall evergreens you see all around us here. Those are the ponderosas. It's about 1.3 million acres of these things up here. Most of them are up on the north rim of the canyon. We have quite a bit out here on the south rim too. I recommend when you do go up to one of these trees, a really good healthy one, stick your nose into the bark, sniff it. It smells like butterscotch up here actually. Now don't lick it, people are going to think you're weird. Plus it doesn't taste as good as it smells. If you look on the right side of the aircraft over there, those mountains, the mountain range over there, those are the San Francisco peaks. Those are the tallest mountains here in Arizona. The one on the left with the snow on top already, that is Mount Humphreys. A little more than 12,600 feet. We have snow skiing out here, believe it or not. It's on the other side of those mountains. Arizona Snow Bowl. If you go another, about an hour and 15-minute drive from here, Flagstaff. Down there. If some of you flew in to Phoenix, probably came through Flagstaff. Most people think actually all of Arizona is like the Sonora Desert. They get off the airplane in Phoenix and look around and go, okay, that's it. Well, we're really pretty different than that. A lot of Arizona is really different than Sonora Desert. Grand Canyon is a prime example. Okay, well, we're kind of low over the trees. We're going to see if we can spot any wildlife. Sometimes I see some out here. We have a lot of it, actually, out here at the Grand Canyon. A lot of the usual suspects, deer, antelope, bobcats, black bears, coyotes. We have mountain lions down here in the woods as well. Inside the canyon over there, if you do any kind of walking around in there, a little hiking, you'll probably see some bighorn sheep. They're not rare in there. They're pretty common. Now, we have California Condor in there, about 13 of those, and those are very rare. If you see one of those, you are very, very fortunate. They're outstanding. I've seen them twice in a lot of years. They look like dinosaurs. To be honest, they look like pterodactyls, 10-foot wingspans. You won't mistake them for anything else. They look like something you should be running from, actually. And if you've been in the park already, into Grand Canyon Village, chances are good you've already seen the elk in there too. They're everywhere. They're like squirrels, 1,000-pound squirrels. Just hanging out, blocking traffic. All right, we've been flying about 300 or 400 feet above the ground. So far, we're about to make a left turn. That is the Grand Canyon over there. It's going to be 5,000 feet above the ground. It's a little startling at first. A really good photo opportunity. it's about to get real. Well, welcome to the Grand Canyon. That is the Colorado River down there snaking in front of us. You can see there's some rapids on the top of the river, off the left side and the front too. This thing is moving a lot faster than you think it is. Well, I mean, we're 5,000 feet above it, so it looks like a big skinny lake. It's also larger than you think. It's up to 120 feet across, up to 40 feet deep in some spots. And moving a lot faster than it looks from up here too. You guys go boating on this out there at Havasu. It's a little further down. So the Grand Canyon is about 5,000 feet deep. And surprisingly, it's about 277 miles long this way, east to west. It's huge. 18 miles across at its widest point, north to south. It's larger than the state of Rhode Island. If you look off the right side of the aircraft, you can see those cliffs over there in the shadows. Those are the desert Palisades. Those are the tallest, sheerest cliffs here in the national park. From the rim down to the river, that's about 4,000 feet. If you were to bungee jump off the top of that thing, it would take you about 17 seconds to get down to the river. That's not for me. I don't want to do it. That's a long time to think about that decision, I would say, too. So we're out here on the eastern end of the Grand Canyon right now. Again, this thing goes 270 miles west. We're out here on the eastern end. If you look at the canyon walls right in front of us and then out as far as the eye can see, out in front of us, off to the right, that is all Navajo Nation out there. So about a third to a quarter of the entire state of Arizona is reservation land. And the Navajo have the biggest chunk. It starts right about here. It extends for hundreds of miles, all the way across Arizona into New Mexico and Colorado. And you can't really see any of their towns right out here, but they have about 175,000 residents out there, Navajo Nation. I think Arizona recognizes about 17 tribes here in the state. So you look out in front of us, you can see this canyon that's cutting across here in front. That is carved by the Little Colorado River. Its headwaters are in eastern Arizona in the White Mountains, and it rolls this way a couple hundred miles, dumps into the Colorado off my left shoulder. We'll see that here in just a minute. But what makes this river sort of unique is the minerals that come off the walls of this canyon. It's sodium bicarbonate, which essentially is baking soda. It gets into the river and then cleanses the river bottom and turns it sort of white sand. The sunlight then reflects off of that and then turns the river this weird blue color. It doesn't look natural at all. It looks almost like plastic, like it's not really water. So we're going to make a left turn in a minute, cross over. Hopefully we can see a little bit of it in the shadows. This late in the day, sometimes it's hard to see in the down to the river. And then if you look in front of us, you can see this line cutting right across the mesa here. That is actually a boundary line. The other side, Navajo Nation. This side over here, National Park. We're going to make a little left turn right along the boundary line. Now, why we have a boundary line, I have no idea. I fly out here about 6 times a day. I've yet to see a person, a car, nothing. Why we need a fence line out here, I don't know. All right, now you can look off the both sides of the aircraft to see this river. If you move your glasses a little bit, you might be able to get a little better view of the weird blue. And then the confluence there with the Colorado with the dark green water here all the way over to the left. All right, we're going to cross the Colorado again. Keep an eye out for rafters down there. I still see them. It seems cold out there to me, but I still see people rafting down this river most days. I think it's also important to understand about this river, the Colorado. It's not a wild river any longer. It hasn't been a wild river for quite some time. The river that carved the Grand Canyon that came ripping through here for 6 million years was about 10 times the size of the one that we're looking at now. And we've already established this one isn't all that small. Up to 120 feet across and 40 feet deep. It's not small, but 10 times that size is huge coming through here. So why isn't it that size any longer? We have a lot of straws in the river now. All the states here in the Southwest, California, we just pull an immense amount of water off of this river. It's also dam controlled. About 11 dams on the river. It's 1,300-mile long river. So it stays right about the same size all the time now. By the time it gets to Mexico on the other side of Yuma, Arizona, down in southwest Arizona, it's almost a stream. You can almost jump across this thing. We take almost all of it. And make no mistake, this river is the lifeblood of the entire Southwest. Without that river, there's no Phoenix, there's no Las Vegas, no San Diego like we know it, no agriculture. Arizona produces more lettuce than any other state in the country. It's not because of our fertile soil, because of all the sunshine and then that river right there. if you look up to the right, you follow the Colorado up to the northeast, you can see a little break in the cliffs way up there. That's the direction it goes. And just past that opening, you'll get to Marble Canyon, Horseshoe Bend, Antelope Canyon, if you've heard of those places. Really awesome places to visit up there on the Navajo Nation. And if you go a little further, you'll get to Glen Canyon Dam, and right behind that is Lake Powell. Lake Powell is one of the two huge reservoirs we have here in the Southwest. The other is Lake Mead. That's a couple hundred miles west of here, behind the Hoover Dam next to Las Vegas. Both of these reservoirs are at record lows. Haven't been this low since they were being filled up. Lake Mead in the 1930s, Lake Powell in the 1960s. We have a serious water problem out here. All right, as we curve around here to the left, we're going to have the sun in our eyes here just a little bit. But if you can make it out, there's a spike right on the mesa right in front of us up there. It's sort of poking up just a little bit above the rim of the canyon there. We'll see a little better as we get closer. But that is Point Imperial up there. That is one of the few places here in the national park that you can rock climb. Actually, that's a hard piece of rock there. Look, most of the rock in the park is soft and weak and brittle. It's some form of sandstone or limestone. It's terrible for rock climbing. Really good for creating canyons. I don't know. This erosion right in front of us is a good example. The Colorado cuts through, cuts a channel into the weak rock, and then the walls form. Erosion takes place. Now we have the wind, the rain, sun, snow. That erodes the walls back. So this thing is getting a little bit wider, a little bit deeper every single day, a tiny little bit. This is the north rim of the Grand Canyon right in front of us up here. It's about 1,500 feet higher than the south rim where we took off. About 8,500 feet up there at the top. We're going to start a slow climb up, make a little right turn. We're going to go up on the north rim. You'll get a better view of this stuff once we turn here and the sun's sort of on it as opposed to directly in our eyes. Good thing I know where I'm going, right? Rock formation on the left side over here looks like a battleship to me. It looks like a ship kind of sailing east. You can look up on the right side and see a Point Imperial a little bit better there too in the sun. All right, welcome to the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Amazing what 1,500 feet of elevation will do up here. Looks a little different up here than it does the south rim. Nice view still off the aircraft. One of the things that makes it different up here is the snowfall. We get about 12 feet of snow up here on the north rim every winter. These little roads that we're flying over, as well as the park, is closed all winter just because of the snow. This open area right below us, out here in front of us, that's a result of a wildfire sparked by lightning about 5 or 6 years ago up here. Burned a lot of this section up. The gray trees right below us, those are aspen trees. They grow really well up here in the high country of Arizona, Colorado, this whole region. And these are really healthy. They just lost their leaves about a month ago, 6 weeks ago. They'll be green again in the spring. Now the ponderosa pine, on the other hand, is a little bit different. They grow very, very slowly. They're like saguaro cactus. They're like water hoarders. They're very resilient, but they grow very slowly. It will be decades before they're able to repopulate this area right below us. Eventually, hopefully, it'll look like this out here. You'll see the mature aspen, the gray trees interspersed with the ponderosa pine. I think a lot of people don't necessarily take into account the elevation when they come up to the Grand Canyon too. They'll get out, they'll walk around a little bit, hike around, you feel terrible, your head hurts, you're out of breath. It's the elevation, right? Most people live at sea level, maybe up 1,000 feet. Come up here and walk around at 7,000 or 8,000 feet, it takes a little getting used to. Denver, Colorado is only 5,000, well it is all the way up to 5,000 feet. We're a few thousand feet higher than that up here at the Grand Canyon. And it's remote up here on the north rim. I love it. Of all the people that come to the Grand Canyon to visit, only about 10% make it over here to the north rim. It's hard to get to. It's about a 4.5-hour drive all the way around the canyon from the south rim. There's no bridge, even though the south rim's just over there about 30 miles to the left. Remote keeps it quiet, particularly in the summers up here. It's really nice. You'll see a little snow from a couple of weeks ago here on the north sides of some of these trees. This will be all snow here in a month. All right, we're gonna make a little left turn. Gonna re-enter the canyon. I like this section a lot just because it's still high, so we get a lot of the greenery. High elevation and snow, but we still get the rock formations. We'll drop down right over the rim. We'll be able to see a little better without that sun in our face. As we're coming down, you see this stripe of rock here on the right side, this tan-colored stripe. That is the Coconino sandstone layer here in the canyon. It's about 300 feet thick. It's about 200 million years old. If you'll look around the canyon, you'll see it right about this elevation all the way around, all over this thing. What makes it interesting is it's a watermark. Essentially, it's a bathtub ring around the Grand Canyon. So 200 million years ago, this rock layer was down at sea level. So what's it doing up here? We're still part of the Colorado Plateau here. So the same forces, the same plate tectonics, volcanic activity that helped create the Rocky Mountains, that shoved those up, we're doing the same thing here. So very slowly over millions of years, all this rock has been pushed up over 7,000 feet. And now it's up here at the top of the Grand Canyon. It extends all the way to Montana, this rock layer. We can just see it here because the Colorado River has cut a slice through it, opened this thing up like a layer cake. We can just see all the different layers. If you look up on the left side of the helicopter, you can see the mountain range out there in the distance there. Those are the San Francisco peaks, the same ones we saw on the way out. They're on the right side of the helicopter. If you look in between us and those mountains, they're the rim of the canyon, rim of the Grand Canyon. Right there is where Grand Canyon Village is. So the lodges, Mather Point, Visitor Center, all of that stuff's right over there on that rim. We've made a big loop, kind of all around that, 100-mile loop. And we've been flying about 120 miles an hour for most of the flight. Feels like you can get out and walk a little faster than what we're doing right here. And we've been following the route dictated to us by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the Park Service and the government. They tell us exactly the route that we have to fly and the elevation we have to fly at. And ironically, this is where the FAA began. Actually, it was in the Grand Canyon. Back in the 1950s, airline pilots used to fly their passengers through the Grand Canyon just to show them on the way to wherever they were going. And everyone was doing it, and it got dangerous, and there were some accidents. And so they decided, well, we have to do something. And so they formed the FAA. And its first order of business was to regulate air traffic over the Grand Canyon National Park. And we're still following those regulations today out here. All right, it's Colorado River down there below us again. All right, I hope you guys have enjoyed the flight so far. Excellent. It's not over, but this is the south rim of the Grand Canyon here right in front of us. I have to go away again and talk to the tower, navigate the airspace back in, all that stuff. We'll be on the ground in about 8 or 9 minutes. You guys feel free to talk amongst yourselves if you want to. I won't be able to hear you. And we'll take care of the doors for you on the ground. And if you would, just leave your life jackets on until you get outside the helicopter, and then just take them, unsnap them there, and throw them on the floor of the helicopter. It's just a lot easier than trying to wrangle them inside here. And we're going to fly by a couple of ponds. If you see those and you're curious, it's just a water treatment facility for Grand Canyon Village. Actually. All right, I'll talk to you here in just a little bit.